Welcome once again to TheTitleFight.com. We have Gordie Tamayo here, and Brian and Stubbs, and we got a couple things we're going to touch base with you boxing heads on. Just last night, we had another action-packed fight where lightning seemed to have struck twice for Tony Thompson taking on David Price in a much-anticipated rematch for the UK heavyweight looking to redeem himself from Tony the Tiger Thompson. Both the character off camera as well as on, as we got to see. Brandon, take us through that fight. Give us a little bit on what happened and what your thoughts were about that whole fight taking place.
Very, very interesting fight. You know, as Price was coming out to the ring, I commented that he looked a little bit shook. He seemed kind of have a nervous, kind of almost like the life had been kind of sucked out of him. Look on his face. His face looked really pale to me, like he was just kind of not ready for the moment. And he kind of seemed really tentative in the first round. He was able to get Thompson rocked there in the second. You kind of was thinking, okay, all right, he's going to try to impose his will. But one thing I noticed in the back end of that round is he started to look gassed. And you could kind of tell that, you know, he wasn't maybe out of shape, but that moment, that adrenaline rush that he had trying to finish the fight, it took everything out of him. And Thompson just pretty much just went on and just started picking him apart, started having him rocking third, and then, you know, he finally was able to close the show. It's just very interesting, especially, you know, the post-fight comments from Price's promoter. You know, they're almost like they want to place the blame on Lennox Lewis, who's kind of there working with Price as a mentor here for this fight. It was just very strange. And speaking of strange, we had Tony the Tiger's post-fight comments about his wife and a hip in a wheelchair, which was just flat out hilarious. You got to love a guy like that. Now you really have to question, though, how good was Price from the get-go? And how good really is Tony the Tiger? I mean, those are the two biggest questions, you know, question marks coming out of that fight.
Sure. I mean, yeah, definitely. I mean, there was some dramatics from start to finish. I mean, from the midget holding the flag to the saxophone player that came from who knows where. It seemed to be it was going to be an interesting night to start off, and it was. You know, the dramatics of that were kind of all over the place there. You know, Price's chin and now his stamina are both in the question. I mean, where does it leave this guy here? He was seen to have been possibly the next, you know, great UK heavyweight, you know, aside from, you know, questions surrounding Tyson Fury, who Thompson also called out after the fight. Where does this position Price at? I mean, is he going to be strictly on the domestic front, or do you see him hanging his head up? What's on the table for him?
You know, people do the comparisons and says, you know, Vladimir Klitschko had a career loss and was able to bounce back from it. Lennox Lewis had one against the team Rockman. You know, good fighters can make comebacks. It's going to start on the domestic front for Price. He's going to have to, you know, start, you know, locally, kind of build himself back up. And they're really going to have to eventually put him in there with guys who can talk to see if his chin is legit. I wouldn't say right off the bat, maybe over the next year to a year and a half. You have him fight, you know, local guys. I don't want to call them club fighters, but let's call them what they are, club fighters. Help him build that morale back up, have him work on his style and his defense, and then kind of gradually moving back up against guys who have a little bit of pox on him to see if his chin is suspect or not. But he's a couple of years away from really being back in the spot he was in previously this year. So he's 2 years now behind the eight ball to where he was here at the beginning of 2013.
Yeah, it looks like Fury's going to be eclipsing this guy here, you know, based after this last performance here, which I don't know about you, but Fury, great character. I get a kick out of watching the guy. I don't know whether to like him or not, but he's entertaining, that's for sure. You know, last night, I'm sure PunchToTheFace.com was going a little crazy with the dramatics happening there with Silva getting drilled last night. But we had some other things that were going on. We had some other news breaking aside from Thompson breaking his wife's hip. We had Cotto announcing that he's going back to Top Rank. He's going with Freddie Roach as his new trainer, and he's going to be taking on, you know, a new opponent that's kind of been already circulating. We have a couple names out there in the mix. What's your take on Cotto making these new boss moves over here and changing it up with his future?
It's kind of interesting, you know. One of the big things he had to fall out with Top Rank was over money when they went him to do the Pacquiao rematch. It was over money and it was over the weight. So I'm assuming, you know, they had to make up after that and had to make, you know, the financial terms right. You also have to wonder with this deal if there's going to be some sort of partnership or help from Top Rank to help out Miguel Cotto promotion. He has his own promotional company. His stable of fighters is well, it's
little
something.
weak.
Yeah. They're weak. It's a very weak stable of fighters, so you'll be interested to see if Top Rank actually helps him out with that, if they help him build guys, or if they find guys in Puerto Rico and maybe feed them through the Cotto promotion or vice versa. So it'll be interesting to see how that partnership works out. Now, as far as the Freddie Roach thing goes, it's with Cotto, it's going to be more, can he go back to the old style that made him such a vicious fighter in his prime? Will he ever go back to working the body? With the tools he still has, and if he can go back to working the body, there's really no real limitations Miguel Cotto has. I think he still has a lot left in the tank. I think the guys he's just lost against recently were just better fighters. Mm-hmm. There's nothing, he can really hang his head down about losing to Floyd Mayweather in the most competitive fight Floyd Mayweather has had possibly ever, and against the up-and-coming hungry Austin Trout. So, there's nothing to hang his head down on. He's just going to have to go back and see if he can kind of recapture that old style, and the whole key thing, I think, is going to be defense and body punches.
Yeah, no, it's going to be very interesting how the whole deal plays out. As much of a shocker as that might have came to some people, it goes to show you that the position that Miguel Cotto has placed himself in throughout a long term here in his own career, he's been able now to pick and choose how he's doing business. Top Rank was there for him from the get-go for a large portion of his career, and who knows, maybe this is going to be the best move for him, not only on his own career front, but for his promotional stable as well. So good thoughts on that. Have to go to this matchup here that's been circulating around the globe, going crazy here between fans. Matthysse, Garcia. Contracts have been sent out. Supposedly, contracts have been not signed yet. Testing has been circulating in the air of things not being agreed upon on that front there. What's your take, Brandon? Do you think Matthysse is ducking Garcia ducking Matthysse? Is this fight even going to happen? What's on the table here?
The last thing I heard was it's pretty much a done deal, and I guess the official announcement will come top part of this week. I think the fight will happen because I think there's just such a groundswell for it in that division that, unfortunately, Danny Garcia is kind of damned if he do, damned if he don't. If he doesn't take the fight, it's going to be if he's ducking Matthysse. If he takes the fight and loses, well, he was supposed to because Matthysse is such a vicious puncher. So, he's kind of in a lose-lose situation. The only way he can really win the situation is taking the fight and knocking Matthysse out or completely dominating him for 12 rounds. So he's kind of, like I said, in a lose-lose situation for Matthysse. This is going to be more than likely the largest payday of his career, and a win here will catapult him, especially if this fight is going to be on the one undercard, which is kind of the word that's kind of floating around too. Does this mean the winner of this fight gets the winner of Canelo Mayweather sometime next year in 2014? It's kind of a strange pairing to have those two fights on the same card, but if this happens, huge for boxing fans, a giant win, especially given what the pay-per-view price is going to be for people over here at home. You definitely want to have that card be stacked.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely something for both of those fighters to, chomp down and grind for there, because it could be a pretty huge payoff in the long run for either guy. Obviously, if that fight takes place, Broner's going to get a sidestep here. A lot of people were hoping Matthysse is going to step in there and crack Broner's jaw. He's been out there circulating some stuff today, as you had informed me of here. What's going on with Broner's realm at this moment here right now, Brandon, with him dropping new music and material? What have you gotten from that so far?
I've gotten the guy has too much time in his hands. That's kind of the thing. Far too much time in his hands. It's been a YouTube barrage I've saw the last 48 hours or so of different music videos and freestyles that AB About Billions has given us fans, if you will. I think in his case, he needs to start concentrating on what's going to be next. Rumor has it that Showtime is really pressuring Golden Boy to make the Madonna fight happen. That's the fight they want. That's the fight they want to put on television. So I think in Adrian's case, put the mic down, go in the gym, work out, work on your craft to be great. This music thing is not going to pay out for you. It's just not. I know everybody needs to have a backup plan. Boxing is his one. He's hoping music will be his two, but I really don't think that should be his day job.
Good stuff. Well, hopefully we get Maidana Broner at least there if Matthysse gets paired up here with Garcia, and we have a few months to look forward to some great boxing action as we're, I wouldn't say idle right now. I mean, we got some other bouts that are kind of lingering here and about there going forward, but looks like we got some good action that's going to be taking place here, hopefully being announced this week. So appreciate y'all tuning in again. Once again, Gordie and Brandon from TheTitleFight.com signing off. Have a good one.